Alright, so here's what we're working on today. My wife and I bought some vintage 1970s furniture. We found a full set of furniture for $90. Some of it was beat up a little bit. Cushions were a little bit roached on it. But we didn't really care about that. We actually liked that it has really good solid frame to it. And it was something I knew that I was going to be able to work with, refinish, and make it usable for us. The way it looked when we got it is like this right here. So all the wood was spray painted black. Not done really well though, so it wasn't too hard to get all the paint off, sand it down back to original wood, and then restain it. We got 2 chairs, 1 rocker, 1 standard, 1 footstool, 1 couch. And since we've actually shown the pictures of what we have been able to accomplish with the couch, the people that we bought it from has told us that they actually have an end table that they're going to give to us so we can try to complete the entire set. So this is what it looks like after I was done with it. Not sure how good this phone camera is going to show the color, but I just had to, like I said, strip everything down, sand it, give it a couple of days to dry, and then we put it in the house. After putting it in the house, my wife realized that these old springs that are on here are not that comfortable, and that it feels like you're sitting on the floor almost. Part of that probably is due to the cushions being so old, and those need to be redone also. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to take off each of these springs, take out all the staples, take out these springs here. And there is a ton of staples in this thing. Let's see if I can get in here and show you. Every wire is held in with a staple, and then on this side, every spring has about 30,000 staples in it, so that's going to take a minute. Not too worried about the physical part of it. I like doing these kind of projects. And so we were looking online, trying to figure out how we can respring this thing. And I found out that, of course, you can go to Amazon and some of the bigger suppliers, order the springs from them and the parts. But then I started looking locally, calling the local upholstery places, local furniture dealers, and one phone call led to another, and I was able to find replacement parts for it. So I was able to actually find somebody that was about a 20-minute drive from my house that actually sold all the parts that I needed to do this. What I ended up getting was, these are called Z springs. This is 24 feet of spring that I'm going to be using. Got some clips that hold the springs into place. This is what they actually look like. They actually have what they call the garage sale table for these old nails that hold these clips in, because these nails are a little bit rusty, but I really don't care about that. The rust isn't going to hurt the wood or the finished product. I had to buy some blades, had to buy a small set of bolt cutters to cut the springs, and this really high-end twine, which is ruby Italian twine. You use that to help support the springs. Once you put the Z springs in, they're going to run this way on this thing straight across, and then you tie the twine from one end of the couch over through the springs all the way down to the other end, and it keeps the springs from going left to right after you get them in place. So I'm going to make a time-lapse video of me tearing all these staples out and replacing all this stuff, and then I will show you that also. This foam is also something that we had to get. Once the springs go in, the foam goes on, and then we actually have some fabric that was given to us by the people that sold us the furniture that I'm going to wrap over the foam to protect the seat cushions in the end. So here we go. All right, so here we are. Step 1 is done, removing the springs, all the staples. I'll show you these rails. And some of the staples I wasn't able to get out like these ones, so they had to stay in there. I just pounded them down flat, and you can see actually taking the staples out did damage some of the wood, so I'm going to have to offset in here where I put my Z-springs. But all in all, not too bad. Probably took me 15 minutes of pulling out all these staples. There were 2,694 of them, or so it seemed. Not many hit the bucket. So next step is to measure out and place these clips where I'm going to need them. I'm thinking it should end up being about every 5 inches or so. So I'm going to try to put them where the staples were not, so I'm able to get into some fresh wood with the nails to do this, and it's going to look something like that. And all the way down that rail. So I'll take a break, get all that stuff measured, get those put in place, and I'll show you what it looks like. So one of the things I'm finding out is on this little clip here, there's not much room to nail those 2 nails in with your hammer when this clip is actually bent over. I bent it back a little bit now so I can get in there. And I'm even using the smallest hammer I have. It's kind of like a regular hammer, just tiny. And I know they make a tack nailer, or a tack hammer, sorry, that's made out of brass, made for doing this. But the workaround I found is I'm just taking the claw end, I'm bending this out a little bit, and then I'm actually getting the nail started, and then I use this bolt to sit on top of the nail head and pound the nail in the rest of the way. Working pretty good. It's just gonna take me a while to do it. All right, so I got all the clips in. Here's what that looks like. All the way down. You see some extra ones right here because this one and this one I will not be using. I have my spacing off, so I just pounded them down flat. They shouldn't cause any issues later on. The other side. Spilled my nails all over the floor. Good thing for big magnets. Alright, so next is cutting the Z-springs and getting those put on, and we'll get to it. I figured out an easier way to create this hoop right here on the end of this Z-spring to hold it in place. I don't believe that's coming off because now it's bending down away from that clasp, and it shouldn't be able to get pulled back through quite as easy. And I want to show you the process of how I did that. On the videos I found online, the guy was taking the Z-springs, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, and he was taking this spring, sticking it in the vise, and then he was using the claw end of the hammer to kind of bend that back. But what I just found that's a lot easier is also using a hammer and a screwdriver. I'll show you that process here in just a second. Alright, so hopefully you guys can get a good angle on this and you can see all of this. I got to cut the spring real quick first, which doesn't take very long. I'll try to show you that too here. I'm just using those bolt cutters I showed you earlier. Taking my Z-spring, counting my hoops here, I know I need 12, and then I cut the next one. I'll just use my bench. So I'm waiting for myself. Get this cut. Now what I was saying, see how it leaves that little angle here. I need to change that to close up the hoop, and I'll show you how I found out how to do that with the screwdriver and the vise here. Just take this, stick it in the vise, nice and tight. take my screwdriver, stick it in here, and I'm going to pound this down so it wraps around my screwdriver. You can kind of see how that closes up that hoop on the end there. Get a good angle on that right there. That's how I'm doing it. I'll do that for both ends, and then I'll get this one put on. Alright, so I got them all done. They're all in here, as you can see. See how they got that little bit of play left to right? It's not that much, but they're probably noticeable if you're sitting next to somebody and they're scooting their butts back and forth. So what I got to do now to get rid of that is take this high-end twine from Italy, and then you take this twine, start a nail right here. I'm probably going to do 2 courses of this twine, another nail here, wrap the twine around it, come out here, wrap it around the spring, go to the next one, go around it, and then go all the way down to the other end, and then tie it off down here, and that should stabilize it from not being able to go back and forth too much. Once I get that done, I'll show you how it looks. So let's get to it. Okay, so here it is finished. Got all the string in all the way down, and you can actually, I mean, I didn't really believe that it would really tighten it up that much, but it really does a pretty good job. I didn't try to keep it completely straight. I'll show you that. A little bit of a zigzag pattern. Try to think about where the butt cheeks would be. We might need the most support. So then on the ends here, online what I saw, everybody was taking nails, and they would go wrap the last wrap around, come out here, and then nail it down. And I just thought staples should do the same thing, just to hold that tail. So I still have to do this side here. It's not a big deal. I just gotta grab the stapler and see if I can do this one-handed. The answer is no. So a couple of them hit. Then I just take my hammer and kind of flatten everything out. Doesn't look the prettiest, but that's all going to be covered up anyway, so no big deal. Alright, next thing to do is to get this stuff cut to length and width. I think it's like 27 inches wide, so it's a little bit too wide for the couch, but I'll just use this rail that's here as a guide. Should be pretty easy actually. Set it on there and take my knife to it and cut that up, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, got the padding on, all stapled into place, covering the springs up here. Next step is for me to get the fabric on here, and then we're all set. Okay, all done, finished product. I am not, again, a professional upholstery person, so I'm sure there's people out there that want to crucify me on how this looks, but for me, I think it looks pretty decent. You can see there's a slight crown to the seat, but I don't think the cushions are going to float, so we should be good. All I did is just staple this all the way around. All I got left to do is take it inside and see if I can get the wife's approval on how comfortable it is.